It's not too much. It's more like 7 days.
Say what
You have gone? Yes.
Tizzy every stinking time.
What are you doing?
I was just waiting for people that were looking in. Again, they're allowed to enter.
I thought you were telling him to set most of the time. I thought you were telling him to shut up.
There were people looking in, so I told them to come on in.
Anyways, your land custody and you.
No, not the staff.
Then your land is or your land.
The staff didn't get the attention.
I called and I did this. Remember when
Mario's watching.
Someplace with
yeah,
I was just to say it would make sense to Yep. Well, good evening and welcome to the November meeting of the South Branch Board of Education. The first thing I'd like for us to do is to stand and turn around and say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Phillips, roll call, please.
Taylor Christian. Here. Terry Liley.
Here.
Amy White.
Here.
Ralph Wentz.
Here.
Brian Bagwell. Here.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for a number of meetings from the October 18th regular meeting, as well as the special meetings on October 20th, as well as the 28th. If there are no additions or corrections, I'd entertain a motion for those.
So moved.
Amy moves. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to Mr. Phillips and the treasurer's report.
Our regular general fund at the end of the month had a balance of $4,392,687.67. The bond retirement, $1,828,028.38, and encumbered against that, going out December 1st, probably a couple days before to be safe, $958,650. So that'll leave a balance in the bond retirement fund of $869,378.38. You can see our grant negative balances. We did get money in last month from project cash requests, and so the amounts of negative are pretty low. We're going to have a payroll, 2 payrolls before I leave. So I think I'm going to work with Mario. He's coming in tomorrow and then a couple days in December. And I'm going to work with him to see, I would normally, if I weren't going to be leaving, just leave it till January, but I'll see whether he wants me to do it and start him, or whether he wants to wait for the full December payrolls to get on the grants. That would be the best way to do it probably, but we'll let him have some input on that. The total fund balance, $6,468,724.27. And that balance reconciles all 3 banks, $6,488,723.05. That'd be for Farmers, Premier, and Star Ohio. Outstanding checks, $238,891.07. We had because the payroll was on the 29th, we had a transfer, $218,112.29. So the net there is $20,778.78. Petty cash accounts, as always, $780 even. And we do balance at $6,468,724.27. One thing I'd like to add is that the Premier account, that was a money market account that we opened a year or so ago, and they sent a letter saying it was dormant. Although they've been giving us interest every month, it's dormant. Apparently that's a banking thing. And so when I went in, they wanted me to either withdraw $1 or write a check for $1. And I told them, because I'm gonna be leaving, Mario's coming in, I don't know what he's gonna wanna do investment wise. I said, I'll write a check for $1,048,000. And I took all that money and put it over in the farmers. So when I read this report next month, Premier will be 0. We still have a depository agreement, so we still have the ability, he has the ability to go back there, but they're actually paying 1 basis point less than farmers is. I just didn't like having all the money in one bank. So we'll see what he does with it, but I got it out of there. Okay, we're doing the forecast separate then, right?
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, if anybody has any questions for Mr. Phillips? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll move.
Brian moves, may I have a second?
Second.
Taylor seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and on to new business and Mrs. Carlson.
Okay. Before I let the principals speak, I do just want to make a note. I will go over the food service report from Mrs. Spears. She was not able to be here. So when I do my section, I'll talk about the nutrition standards from ODE. So first up, I'll turn it over to the administration. I believe Mr. Rowan is speaking.
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, the admin team, or our collective staffs and everybody that's in our building, we'd like to recognize 2 individuals who served the South Range Local Schools for more than 20 years. First, Mr. Jim Phillips. Jim's been the treasurer CFO for South Range Local for 30 years and has served alongside 3 superintendents. Mr. Hall for 15 years, Mr. Dunham for 13 years, and Mrs. Carlson for the last year and a half. During his 30 years, he's had interactions with 25 different board members. Jim credits Mr. Hall, a very close friend, as a person that started the rich academic reputation of our school and district, and Mr. Dunham for continuing the tradition and passing the bond issue to build the K-12 complex. In his career, Mr. Phillips had 2 different bond issues, the first in the 90s for the school renovation, and then in 2007 for the K-12 bond issue. 2 issues that many, including Mr. Phillips, felt were very important to students that the district served. Mr. Phillips was very mindful when handling the school's finances and always had the students' best interests in the forefront. He and his wife, Deb, have lived in our district since 1999 with their 2 children, Bradley, a 2013 graduate, and Kelsey, a 2015 graduate. Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for all you've done during your time at South Range.
Thank you. Where'd you get that?
The second individual is Mr. Ralph Wentz. Mr. Wentz has served on the Board of Education for the past 24 years after first being elected in 1997. Mr. Wentz is a 1980 graduate of South Range High School, and when you talk to him, you can hear how much he cares about our school. His down-to-earth personality and open-mindedness are 2 very big reasons for his long tenure on the board. He would cite handing diplomas to his brothers, Tim and Matt, in 1998 and 2000, his nieces and nephews, Tommy, Jennifer, and Rebecca, in 2007, 2010, and 2018 as highlights of his time here, along with his proudest days of handing his children, Wade, Emily, and Olivia, their diplomas in 2009, 2011, and 2015. He always took pride in the fact that South Range is a top-rated school in Ohio. He was encouraged to first run for the board by Pearl Burlingame, who is the sister of Harvey Hartley, and he was mentored by Mr. Jim Hall. He, like Mr. Phillips, served alongside 3 superintendents, Mr. Hall, Mr. Dunham, and Mrs. Carlson. Mr. Wentz is an avid, very visible supporter of all South Range extracurriculars, especially the South Range Marching Band, the school plays, and just about any sporting event. He has mentored and helped several South Range kids with 4-H and Canfield Fair appearances and projects. He's lived in our district his whole life alongside of his wife, Chris, a 1982. I tried 92, but it's really 80. A 1982 graduate of South Range. Thanks, Mr. Wentz, for being a good man and for all you've done for the students, staff, and administration here at South Range over the past 24 years.
Your words are too kind, Mr. Rowan. Thank you very much.
Okay, we really don't have much else to report because that's the highlight that we should do for today. So, like I said, I'll do the food service and everything else after.
All right, on to the next item on the agenda is,
You know,
wait,
sorry.
we do.
Oh.
I do have
For
a legislative, I'm sorry about that.
With the legislative, the Ohio's on, let's see, Monday, October 25th, we received an email from the Ohio School Boards Association Board of Trustees where they decided, they voted on to end the affiliation with the National School Board Association, known as the NSBA. The board's decision prompted by the NSBA's recent letter to President Joe Biden requesting federal intervention at local school board meetings. After discussing serious concerns about the letter, the Board of Trustees directed OSBA Chief Executive Officer Rick Lewis to send a letter to NSBA notifying it that the OSBA would not continue its membership in the National Federation. And it's basically, I'm going to read this word for word because it was quoted by the Chief Executive Officer Rick Lewis. We were not informed of or asked for any input into the creation of the letter sent to the President. We believe in the value of parental and community decision at school board meetings, and there is tremendous value in allowing and encourage the public to have meaningful input in the decision-making process. However, the participation should not come at the expense of interfering with the board's ability to conduct its business or subjecting individual board members to threats of violence, abuse, or harassment. But dealing with such interference should be dealt with at a local level, not by federal officials. So that was sent to us on Monday, October 25th, after the OSBA board voted to leave the NSBA. And I think it's been an issue people were questioning in our community about that, and we figured we'd address it with this letter.
Yep, very good. Anything else, Taylor, anything from you? Okay, if not, we will then move on to board policy adoptions. We have a number of them, or is there anything more you need to say versus what you said last month?
No, nothing's changed from last month.
Anybody on the board have any questions about any of the policy revisions? Okay, if not, next up, we will go back to Mr. Phillips and the updated 5-year forecast. And turn back to you, Jim.
I gave you a copy, and the last page is actually the numbers. You'll see a couple of lines down, I have some red numbers with a little red note. How will open enrollment be affected by House Bill 110? House Bill 110 is the biennial budget that took effect July 1st. It's the fair funding school? Fair school funding. And the only thing is, the legislature didn't know yet all the ramifications of the other parts of the bill, and one of the concerning part for us, being that we have a large open enrollment population, is that instead of an open enrollment student generating $6,020, it would generate the same amount as a residential student, which, depending on, there's some isms with that, but it could be between $2,100 and $2,400. So it's a lot less. They are saying, they being Aaron Roush of Ohio Department of Education and others, that there's other components that work against it that could mitigate it. We are safe for this year, and I think for next year, with a hold harmless guarantee that, you know, they're not going to give us less than they gave us before. The question is, what's going to happen in 2 years when there's a new biennial budget? They were saying also that they would figure out by October, this is over the summer, you may recall me telling you, they would figure out by October what our annual foundation's gonna look like. They didn't, now they're saying December. I was hoping that when Brian and Bethany went to Columbus, there'd be some more news, and there wasn't. It's gonna be December, and I have a feeling it's not gonna be December either. So, basically, they passed a law that they don't know how to administrate yet. That's the long and short of it. So, that's why I have these in red. I wanna point out that that line is what contains our $2 million plus of open enrollment revenue. I know I saved the number for the first column of the forecast, which is the year we're in, fiscal year 22. I just put a small, I didn't put a small anything yet. I just carried over last year's number. Because there's other little things like interest and fees and that sort of thing, and all other local revenue that is part of the open enrollment, there's a 0.0075, 0.75% increase on the forecasted years. I put this in red so that I am going to be meeting with your new treasurer and for a couple times between now and the end of the year. I've talked to him on the phone about this. He doesn't know any more than I do. They have open enrollment in the district he's currently serving, so I just want to make sure that this is top of mind, because I think what's going to happen, rather than wait till May, if they actually tell us what's going on and are able to give in services and explain how all the other parts of the new biennial budget work in our foundation, probably going to want to update this. If you have different numbers, if it goes up, if it goes down, or if the state foundation part goes up and this, goes down and it's the same or different, but it's really kind of a mess. So it's a forecast, but not much of one, quite frankly. As far as property taxes and our expenditures, all that stuff I've done the way I always do it, and it's good information. I've used regression analysis, which has worked well over all these years, and I feel pretty good about those, but that line item being such a big line item. The good news is if the guarantee for this year and next year stick, and then the guarantees after that stick, there are no guarantees, but if they continue them, because the Senator Ruley, whoever else, House of Representatives, all our representatives, they don't like to come home and say your school district's losing money. So the guarantees typically help. So if we stay the same, we're good all the way through 2025, and it's not till 26 that we start having some issues. So you have a couple of years to see how things fall out and make adjustments as needed at that point. I did give you all the assumptions and everything, so you had a look at them. If there's any questions, I'll entertain them, and if not, that's all I have to say about that.
Just one quick question. You said you kept the open enrollment revenue the same. When do we get an actual count of what our open enrollment numbers are? When does that
It's a trick question, because they come and go through the year sometimes, not tons, but it could be, it used to be by the last Friday of the first week of October, that was your count day. Well, with the computer system and EMIS and everything now, it changes every day. And as kids come and go, as they, they don't come and go open enrollment. We have open enrollment kids, but some of them leave, move away. They were open enrollment here. They lived, let's say, in Boardman, we're coming open enrollment here, but they moved to Louisiana or something. And
yeah.
So those kinds of things. At the end of the year, you could say what it was at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, you can say what it was then. And Jen can probably print you a list to tell you all the changes in
Yeah, we
between.
can get it. Some of the biggest changes is they go from open enrollment to resident because they build a house here at their property. So, but yeah, I mean, Jen gets a pretty good ballpark.
It's about 350 kids, I think.
Give or take.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Next up would be approval of the academic calendars for the 22-23 and 23-24 school years. Ms. Carlson?
Yes, put together, worked with various people, administration and I, and then the union also looked through this. Moving forward, we do have 2 years. Fortunately, the way the calendar falls, Easter will fall back to where it usually is with Good Friday and then Easter break after. Not taking, other than the NEOEA day in October, not taking any waiver days off during the school year. Worked with the groups of people, and we're going to try to do our PD at the beginning of the year, the first 2 days of that fair week where the kids are off before the fair actually starts. So then we're not taking as many breaks off during the school year.
Okay.
So basically, the new calendars, we are going back to having spring break right after Easter.
It works out perfect. And then graduation, as we've all discussed as a group here, doing it on Sunday. So this both calendars lets us do it Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So family are in town, people are here. We will do it later in the evening on Sunday, so it's after church and all the dinners.
Right.
But it's during the holiday break when people are here, we shouldn't have any conflicts.
Yep.
It is that.
Good. Okay, next up, the tentative agreement from the association to extend the contract from September 1st of 2022 through August 31st of 2024.
Yeah, I worked with the association. We worked on one area, which was the teacher evaluation system did update to, it's called OTES 2.0, so we worked on that language. But the rest of the contract requested just to continue to carry it forward, holding it where it is. Part of that is not really knowing, like Jim said, where we're gonna be. So just kind of, we have a very good working relationship with our union and just try to maintain that for the next 2 years.
And lastly, before public participation, appears that we are going to reject the bus bids that came in.
Do you want to talk about that?
We're gonna reject the bus bids that just came in. The reason is, one of them didn't follow the specifications. I can't detail it too much. Bus people, oh, I got neighbors in Whitebeard. I don't know what they didn't do correctly, I don't remember, but they didn't bid the right things on the bus. One of them did, one of them didn't. That was one factor. The other one was the special bus that has the lift on it didn't have the removable seats, I think is a problem, because they have a 72 passenger and a 60 passenger. The 60 passenger is the special bus, but you're supposed to be able to remove 2 seats to have more room, if I remember, and one of them didn't. It was kind of a thing where, in addition to the pricing and not following the specs correctly, we thought it's better just to
Throw them out.
throw them out and start over. So this resolution, if you notice at the end, also directs me to advertise for bids again. So tomorrow I'll send an ad out, and it'll run probably Thursday and the following Thursday, and the Thursday after that, we'll open bids yet again.
Okay. At this time, we entertain public participation on agenda items, and we will have public participation on non-agenda items after we go through the adoption. So is there anybody that has anything they'd like to entertain for public participation on agenda items? Okay, seeing as there's none, we will go back through. First up, board policy adoptions on the number of policies there. May I have a motion to entertain those?
So-
Brian moves, may I have a second?
Second.
Amy seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, the adoption of the 5-year forecast as presented. May I have a motion to accept that?
I'll move.
Terry makes a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Taylor seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, the approval of the academic calendars for the 22-23 as well as the 23-24 school year. May I have a motion to accept those?
I'll move.
Amy moves, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Terry seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, approval of the agreement between the South Range Education Association and the South Range Local Board of Education to continue the contract from September 1st of 2022 through August 30th of 2024. May I have a motion to accept that?
I'll motion.
Terry makes the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Brian seconds. Mr. Phillips, roll call, please.
Taylor Christian,
Yes.
Terry Lally,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Ralph Wentz.
Yes.
Brian Bagwell.
Yes.
Motion passes. And lastly, motion to not accept the bus bids for the 2 buses that were received, as well as direct Mr. Phillips to put out a notice to accept bus bids again, being opened on November, over the next few days, you said, right?
Well,
Mr.
no,
Phillips?
November 9th is when we open the last bids.
Yeah.
The next one, I hope to get it out tomorrow, so they'll advertise it, whatever the date is, Thursday, the following Thursday, because you have to go 2 weeks in a row, and then a week after that, we'll open them. I think it's December 7th.
December 2nd is a Thursday.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Motion to accept that.
So moved.
Taylor moves. May I have a second?
I second.
Amy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we would have public participation for non-agenda items. Does anybody have anything? Okay, seeing as there's none, we will go on to Mrs. Carlson for the Hawk East District update.
Okay, one of the first things, every year we have to, usually Caitlin will do this from food service, we do the updated Ohio Nutrition Standards for the ODE report. We have to upload this and send it to the Ohio Department of Education for compliance. So she puts together basically a wellness document. It's in alignment with our policies for wellness and food service, has sample menus that she has to present to Ohio Department of Education and the different nutritional counts. So every year we do this, we really just update our policy numbers are updated if anything has changed and the menus changed. So it's the same as last year. The other thing I'd like to mention, I know I put this in your board packet. Once again, the National Speech and Debate Association has sent us a letter recognizing Nicole Freifogel and the speech team on earning significant recognition from the National Speech and Debate Association for the 2021 school year. Students earn Honor Society points and degrees based on competition, leadership, service activities, which contribute to a school's strength points. Because your charter achieved 111 or more strength points last year, you have earned membership to the association's prestigious 100 Club. Your club award is remarkable because it demonstrates outstanding commitment to teaching students essential life skills, including communication, research, listening, writing, and organization. The hard work you have invested to achieve the distinction may pay dividends for years to come. The National Speech and Debate Association commends you on your leadership and achievement in the speech and debate program. So this went to Nikki as well as myself. This year they're actually going to do a few other things. They were invited to go to a competition in Worcester with Poland and Ursuline. It will be in January. They will travel there. It'll be overnight. Because of the way they've been competing, they're actually going to travel on the coach bus with the group, but they were invited to be a part of this larger event. So they're very excited to take things. So, and it's just, and again, it's started out as a small group of kids. It's grown. Our middle school involvement is growing as well, which is a part of this. That I received just a little email from him, and he said the amount that we're starting to see in middle school from our school district. So it's a great thing because it does, it builds leadership. It's teaching kids to speak in front of people and to be able to carry themselves very confidently with some poise. So very proud of our speech and debate. Just to highlight, we do have another early release coming up December 22nd. The last one went really well. We had a couple things that we kind of did at the end of the day with our staff, but as soon as the parents picked up all their students and the buses rolled, our staff got together and continued their professional development learning on teacher clarity. So it was again a success, and we'll do another one on the 22nd. So.
Okay. And I believe, unless something changed, you said you do not need an executive session, so we will move on to personnel.
Okay. Not too much tonight. We were able to, if you notice, we advertised for some more aides. We need some instructional aid substitutes still. So we have Alicia Lowry, itinerant or substitute instructional aid. We're waiting on ODE because the connection between the fingerprint companies and the Ohio Department of Education is extremely slow right now. So that's all we're waiting. She did complete it. So once we receive the okay, she will begin substituting for us. As we know, we had the floating subs that come every single day. 2 of ours are gonna be off again for a length of time for personal reasons. So Mamie Spencer she's been here pretty much every day anyway, so we're gonna move her into that spot to fill in. Jessica Beck is another individual who stepped up to be hired at the elementary to help. We were having an issue at recess and lunch, so it became a safety issue when we didn't have sub coverage. So Steve and I worked together for the safety of the students to make sure we have an aide all the time at recess. Jessica Beck was hired. She actually starts tomorrow. We have her fingerprints on hand. ODE just hasn't uploaded them yet. So again, we're just dealing with this. Grant a 1-year educational aid, bus aid to Cynthia Jenkins, retroactive October 13th, because that's when ODE finally approved her. And freshman boys basketball, Chris Scandy, Samantha McMahon, special education, those 3 extra days to do IEPs and the 2-day release time, just to approve her for that. And retroactive, I missed Kim Peterson on the Camp Fit chaperone for the nurse when they went. And lastly, while Mr. Vaneski was out, we had a substitute who filled in at all the games. So kind of to support her and to compensate her for the 5 games that she did attend and travel to, a one-time payment of $250 for Emily Henderson as a substitute assistant band director during those 5 games. That'd be it.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept all the personnel?
Motion.
Terry will make the motion and
I'll second.
Amy will second. Mr. Phillips, roll call please.
Taylor Christian,
Yes.
Ralph Wentz.
Yes.
Terry Lally,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Brian Bagwell.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And lastly, before we adjourn, I'd first meeting publicly, since we've hired our new treasurer. He's not here tonight, not able to be here tonight. He's had a previous engagement. Obviously, you heard from Mr. Phillips. He's reached out to him, and I've been communicating some with him back and forth. And I think he's going to be just an absolute terrific person here at South Range. He definitely, from my perspective, fits the mold of what we have come to expect here at South Range. And I'd like to publicly say that myself and the other 4 board members, we spent a lot of time on this issue, and it really is good to have a collaboration of different people's opinions and thought processes and work through those things. And I do believe that we as a board came up with a very good person, and I think he's going to get along well with staff, administration, and I just wish him nothing but the best. And once again, for Mr. Phillips, I know I said a little bit last time, but I want to say again, he has been a wealth of knowledge to the district. He has given his heart and soul to this district throughout his career. He's helped me to be able to grow as a board member, to understand school finance. And one of the biggest things that I think is a misconception in public education from us who work in for-profit companies, I guess, is when you take a look at your expenses versus your quote income. Our income is the students that we push out into the world. And I could go on a number of success stories from here at South Range that have just done so much, and their foundation came from the educators here at South Range. And so when you look at a forecast and you look at where our biggest expense is, our biggest expense is our labor, is our personnel, our teachers, our administrators, and everything. And in the business world, that would not be acceptable. But we are not producing a product that is going to go out and do whatever in the business world. We are producing a product that is going to help make the rest of the world a better place. And you can't do that without the fine teachers and educators that we have here at South Range. And, you know, hats off to our educators, our administrators, and the way they go about hiring those types of people. And we do. South Range is a special place, and we do put out a good product. And it's because of all the people within the school system that's here 5 days a week and that. And getting back and finishing up with Mr. Phillips, you know, he's always presented to the board good sound numbers based on good sound data so that we can make this board and previous boards make good sound decisions for our district as well as our community. And so again, publicly, I take my hat off and thank Mr. Phillips for everything that he's done. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Brian moves and
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are done until our December meeting. Thank you all for
At which I
attending.
will return the favor.
Thank you all very much.
Guys, I'm, Amy, I'm gonna. No,